Hey guys, this is Hunter with You Don't Know Ball. Today we're going to be looking at Joel Klatt's Mock Draft 1.0. If you don't know who Joel Klatt is, he is a college football analyst, and I watched a little bit of this mock draft on his YouTube channel, so this isn't going to be completely blind, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And I feel like a lot of the mock drafts we look at are done by NFL analysts, and obviously these guys watch college and everything like that, but Joel Klatt is really focused on college football, and I think he kind of gave an interesting spin to the mock that is a little bit different than what we've been seeing with all these other NFL mocks. So let's get right into it. At number 1, we have the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams. He was basically saying, that, he has really done a lot for USC, even when the talent has, not been there. And also that, they kind of relied on Williams in 2023 to basically will them to wins, that they weren't doing him that many favors. I mean, the talent around Caleb Williams was really not that crazy. This is kind of a standard pick, though, in all mock drafts, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. At number 2, we have the Washington Commanders taking Drake May. I think this makes a lot of sense, especially if you're going to take a quarterback at 2 and not trade back. I don't really see the appeal of taking a Jaden Daniels at 2, kind of a fifth-year senior, a guy who's a little bit older, who took a while to develop. And I think if the Commanders aren't going to trade back, Drake May would be the correct selection at 2. At number 3, we have the New England Patriots taking Jaden Daniels. Like I said, I have been kind of a proponent of either take MHJ or trade back because, in my opinion, I don't know if throwing, a quarterback who, really only broke out when he was surrounded by weapons at LSU, throwing him in a talent-barren offense and a coaching staff that, doesn't have a ton of play calling experience, if any at all. I don't see that really as a recipe for success. At number 4, we have the Arizona Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. This pick, I feel like if the draft goes quarterback, I feel pretty safe saying, you might as well lock this one in. You get possibly the best player on the draft board, and you don't have to trade up to go get him. Kyler Murray needs weapons. They need weapons all over the field in Arizona, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a prospect that you cannot pass up. At number 5, we have the Los Angeles Chargers taking Brock Bowers. So this is kind of where the draft really starts, if this is kind of where, the draft is going to lead, where you go quarterback, and then it's Marvin Harrison Jr. Kind of don't know what the Chargers are going to do. Jim Harbaugh's in there. They have Greg Roman, who is a run-heavy guy, and so the reason Joel Klatt was saying that Brock Bowers made sense, and I like the pick. I think you go Brock Bowers or tackle, even Malik Neighbors. But he was saying the reason Brock Bowers works here is, Harbaugh likes to run a lot of heavy set offenses, and you can get a bigger tight end in there and then use Brock kind of as like a flex tight end where, you could have him block, you could have him run. I mean, Brock is not, that big of a guy. He is built, but he's not like this massive tight end, but you can have him run, kind of in the slot and everything like that. So I think it makes a lot of sense. You give, I'm yawning again. You give Brock Bowers or Justin Herbert, a safety blanket in Brock Bowers. You don't really have, you don't know if Mike Williams or Keenan Allen is going to be there really after this year or even this year. I mean, I don't know. So I think you give some more security in the pass catching category for Justin Herbert. At number 6, he has the Giants taking Rome Odunze. He was saying Odunze is one of his highest rated receivers, and honestly, because of Odunze's size, I think there is a chance that he goes before Neighbors. I think the fact that, he was saying that Odunze could be wide receiver 1, or I believe it was Dane Brugler was saying he could be wide receiver 1 in a lot of drafts where like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors aren't there. And I think a lot of people are wide receiver 2 flipped on Odunze and Malik Neighbors. Like, it really depends on the preference. I personally think Neighbors is the better prospect, but at the end of the day, it's all preference. You give the Giants a big pass catcher on the outside, and Daniel Jones will have another weapon. At number 7, we have the Tennessee Titans taking Joe Alt. This makes the most sense here, unless you want to go Olu Fashanu. Alt is just a super high floor guy. Pair him with Peter Skoronski. I say this every time. It's probably getting, old to the people who watch every mock draft, but there's really not much more to say other than he is a very high floor guy, and you know what you're getting here. At number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking Dallas Turner. So Dallas Turner is really an athletic freak. You give Raheem Morris kind of another weapon on that defense. That defense was already pretty good last year. And, I don't necessarily know where else they'd go. They can go corner here. You could arguably go wide receiver. I just don't think that wide receiver is as much of a glaring need. I think there's some pretty good free agents that you can get to complement, like Drake London, because you already have Kyle Pitts. You already have Bijan Robinson. You really built the offensive skill positions through the draft. Maybe draft, go defense here and then grab some wide receivers in free agency. At number 9, we have the Chicago Bears taking Malik Neighbors. If this happens, I swear I will be so happy. Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, a wide receiver in free agency. You are really giving Caleb a lot of options and a lot of areas to succeed in the NFL. This is what a rookie quarterback should be stepping into, and I think the idea of possibly drafting a quarterback, letting him sit, or not drafting a quarterback until the team is ready is going to be a more thought about idea than it is now in the current landscape of the NFL. That is my issue kind of with Jaden Daniels going so early. Is I think he would benefit more from going to a team like the Falcons or a team even like the Seahawks, where it's I'm not saying he's the greatest fit for that, but it's a team that kind of already has the team ready to compete. At number 10, we have the New York Jets taking Olu Fashanu, probably the best pass protector in the draft. And I think, this is probably the best option for them if Olu is to fall to 10. They really need to bolster that line. And then at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is not getting any younger. I don't think he's going to be scared to run or be mobile, but coming off an Achilles, I think he's not going to want to be running for his life. I think we see a little bit more next year of just Aaron Rodgers falling to the ground and not, avoiding sacks, because that Jets O-line was putrid last year. At number 11, we have the Minnesota Vikings taking Terrion Arnold from Alabama. I am a little bit surprised they don't go quarterback here, but Terrion Arnold, is arguably CB1 in this draft. You give Brian Flores more weapons. I think, I would argue that cornerback is really not a strength of the Vikings. You could also go D-line here. I think the pick, if it's not a quarterback, is going to be defense. I don't know where you would spend the pick on offense. I think defense is pretty much a lock if you're not going J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, those type of quarterbacks. So I could also see the Vikings trading up, though. I don't think he did any trades this mock draft, though. At number 12, we have the Denver Broncos taking Bo Nix. So I know why he took Bo Nix. He was talking about how, he's kind of a tactician. When he needs to scramble, he can. He would work in a Sean Payton offense. But I think that J.J. McCarthy would probably be a better fit for Sean Payton and the Broncos. I think McCarthy is a little bit more of a neither of them are surefire, though. That's the problem. I just think I would rather put my trust in McCarthy over Nix. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the way they kind of carry themselves. Not to shit on Nix. I'm not trying to. I think he can be a good quarterback, but I just feel like the bust rate for Nix is a little bit higher than McCarthy, and that's just a personal feeling. I don't know. At number 13, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Talisa Fuaga. I think this pick makes a lot of sense. You get a violent run blocker. You get a good pass protector. The Raiders need help on the O-line. I think he fits kind of that Raider way that AP is looking for. Good pick for the Raiders. At 14, we have Jared Verse to the New Orleans Saints. This pick to me makes a lot of sense. I think I like the fact that you're going D-line here. You got to build up that D-line kind of with everyone getting a little bit older. You could also go offensive tackle here like an Amarius Mims, a J.C. Latham, someone like that. But at the end of the day, Verse, very, very good edge, possibly edge one in this draft, goes to a needy trenches team in the New Orleans Saints. At number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking Quinyon Mitchell. So I've seen him continually rise up draft boards, almost to the point where he is CB1, even sometimes going in front of Terrion Arnold, which is kind of crazy considering the fact that he played at Toledo. But, I've said this a couple times before and I'll say it again. I think normally when it comes to like wide receivers, quarterbacks, offensive linemen, I want guys that played in the SEC or even the ACC, like the top teams in the ACC. But when it comes to corner and it's really more about like being in position and being able to man up your guy, I know you're not going up against the greatest talent, but a lot of corner is like technique and anticipation. And Quinyon Mitchell showed that at Toledo. So I think the idea that just because he played in the MAC conference that, he won't be good, blah, 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 this, that, and the third, I think it doesn't apply to cornerback as much as it does for other positions. At number 16, this one's kind of crazy. He has J.J. McCarthy going to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, you do have Geno Smith basically on contract for one more year. I mean, you can move on from after this year. J.J. McCarthy, I think, needs to sit a year. And with Mike Macdonald being the new head coach, maybe he wants to take a swing on his quarterback. He wants to go get his guy, but maybe he doesn't feel J.J. is ready to play right away. And I think this is a good scenario. You have a team that has receivers. They have running backs. They have the tackles. They got to fix the interior. They have a good defense as long as they can improve the pass rush. I think this pick makes a lot of sense. I think it's kind of like out there, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. But I also could see him going to the Raiders, Broncos, or Vikings as well. At number 17, we have the Jaguars taking Nate Wiggins. I like this pick. I think anything defense, like literally anywhere on the defense, is a good pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I could also see them going O-line here or even receiver. Honestly, literally anywhere outside of quarterback and running back, I don't have an issue with where the Jaguars pick. Maybe not like linebacker, but in the first round. But at the end of the day, I really don't have an issue with anything positionally to the Jaguars. And Nate Wiggins, I mean, like, I think cornerback is a premium position. And if you're going to get a good one, you're going to find him in the first round, most likely. At number 18, you have J.C. Latham to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this pick is awesome. You have two huge linemen then. You have Orlando Brown, who's gigantic, and J.C. Latham, who is a big guy. I believe he's like 6'6", like 330, 360, something like that. I know it's a 30-pound difference, but I can't remember. But I think that solidifies the line. And with how much the Bengals throw the ball, Latham is definitely a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. Not to say he's a bad run blocker, but with how much they throw the ball, I just think it makes a lot of sense. At number 19, we have the Los Angeles Rams taking Amarius Mims. Amarius Mims, very inexperienced, but has a lot of traits and is a very talented player. This, to me, makes a lot of sense for the Rams because he's definitely someone you can plug and play, but also someone who is going to take a couple years to develop. And I think with the way the Rams are set up, they can compete in the next 2 years with Matthew Stafford, but they're also going to need players for when that next quarterback comes around. And I think that J.C. Latham can be the guy for them. Amarius Mims. At number 20, we have Pittsburgh Steelers taking Tyler Guyton. See, this is a pick I don't like. I think Guyton is a very big guy. I think he's very raw, though. I don't think he's ready to kind of win now. I think he's going to take a longer time to develop than even an Amarius Mims. But with the idea of having Kenny Pickett back there and with the idea of having, or Justin Fields back there, you already have a second-year guy who didn't play his full rookie year in Broderick Jones on one side of the line. Do you want another project guy, especially when you're kind of not completely in on the quarterback you have now, possibly getting a new quarterback who is struggled with bad O-line play early on in his career. It wasn't as bad last year, but still not great. I don't know if I love the pick positionally. Maybe a Jackson Powers-Johnson would have been a better option. At 21, we have the Miami Dolphins taking Michael Penix Jr. So he has a lot of quarterbacks going in the first round. And while I don't think they'll all go in the first, the ones he has, I'm not going to say I hate the pick. I really was on the Tua bandwagon this year, and I really supported him. But I just think sometimes he's just not the guy to get it done. And I think his arm really does hurt him. Like, I know arm strength sometimes is really, really overrated, but like Penix can flash downfield with his arm. And, you know, the Miami Dolphins team is ready to win now. Like Tyreek Hill is only getting older. You're going to have to pay Waddle. And the reality is, Penix is what you see is what you get. And I think he could slide into that offense pretty seamlessly, honestly. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to pay Tua that second contract money. And as much as people who are Tua supporters, as I was, hate to say it, I don't see the success there with Tua. At number 22, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Jackson Powers-Johnson. So I debated this pick quite a little bit when I've seen him go here before. I think if you put Cam Jurgens at center and then put Jackson Powers-Johnson at your guard spot, I think you're actually starting to cook a little bit. I think eventually you're going to have to address tackle. But at the end of the day, I think you get probably the best interior lineman in the draft, and it makes a lot of sense for them. At number 23, we have the Houston Texans taking Latu. Sarah, you're going to hate this one. But at the end of the day, I think they do need edge help. I don't know if Grenard is going to be there next year. I think he's going to want a bag. You could go Jerzon Newton, could go Byron Murphy, neither who are off the board here as the interior defensive lineman. But I don't think edge is the worst pick. I also think you can go corner here. At number 24, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking Jordan Morgan. He's a guy who at Arizona stood his own. You know, you're going to have to rebuild that O-line. Tyron Smith is getting older. He may walk in free agency. You're going to need a replacement. And I think anywhere on the trenches in the O-line, honestly, it's not a bad spot. I could also see them going like a Graham Barton here. I think that would make a lot of sense for them. At number 25, the Green Bay Packers taking Byron Murphy. Such a Packers pick, going D-line trenches in the first round. Honestly, I don't think it's the most important position I need. I think a cornerback would probably be more important, but you get the best interior defensive lineman in the draft, and sometimes that's hard to pass up when he falls to you. At number 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Cooper DeJean. You know, I like Cooper DeJean a lot. I think, this can make sense in a Todd Bowles defense. I don't know. I like this pick. I think you want to add youth to that secondary that's kind of getting a little bit older. Pair him up with Antoine Winfield. Obviously, some people project Cooper DeJean to be a safety in the NFL, but I could see him playing corner. I think, he's one of those guys that you could throw kind of anywhere in that DB room, and I think you'll have success with him. At number 27, we have the Arizona Cardinals taking Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson, was high on boards, fell down boards, and now it seems like he's making his way up into the back end of the first round. He is definitely a guy that you're going to need to develop. He has a very quick first step, but is raw. And I think, with a guy like Jonathan Gannon, I think you should be able to make him into a pretty good player if you're able to put him on the right path for success. At number 28, we have the Buffalo Bills taking Brian Thomas Jr. I think this makes a lot of sense for the Bills. They need another guy in the wide receiver room opposite of Stephon Diggs and someone who is a big body for Josh Allen that they haven't really had in Josh Allen's tenure. And I really like this, especially with Gabe Davis possibly being out the door in free agency. At number 29, the Detroit Lions taking Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Honestly, I could possibly see them trading up to take a top corner in this draft just because it's like they kind of put Band-Aids on the position group this year, and I think they need a more long-term solution. I think Ennis Rakestraw is a good player, but to get a guy maybe like a Quinyon Mitchell or a Nate Wiggins, I don't know how these guys are going to fall in the draft. I think the combine is going to tell a lot, and obviously as we get closer to April, we'll know more about where these guys are probably going to fall, like where they slot in the areas of the first round, whether it's mid, late, 8 for top 15, things like that. Don't think it's a bad pick. I think positionally it makes sense. At number 30, Baltimore Ravens take Keon Coleman. I like this pick a lot. I think to pair him with a Zay Flowers, you have Mark Andrews, you're giving Lamar a big body to throw to. I love Keon Coleman to the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens. I just think it makes so much sense. At number 31, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking Corey McKinstry. I think, tackle here would make sense as well. I don't know who you want to go with. Maybe like a Troy Fontenot, someone you could slide inside as well. But I think, the issue with the cornerback room in San Francisco is the depth. And I think getting younger at that position and taking a first-round corner makes a lot of sense for the 49ers. They just let go of Steve Wilkes as well. At number 32, we have Troy Franklin to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's put down here as a CB, but he's actually a wide receiver. He is a 6'3", I believe, and he's a very fast guy. I think pairing him with, Rashee Rice would be nice. Travis Kelce, if he's back, going in, getting maybe a big body, like contested catch receiver in the free agency would really revitalize and solidify this Kansas City wide receiver room. Now, this has been Joe Klatt's mock draft. It was in video form, so that's kind of why it looked a little weird. They just kind of had the picks listed after the first 10. But if you want to go watch the video, I'll link it in the description. But this has been Joel Klatt's mock draft 1.0. He is more of a college football analyst, so I think there's a little bit of a different spin on this mock draft. And honestly, a guy that has covered college probably has a little bit more idea of like these players, and I kind of like this perspective. So as soon as he released the second mock draft, I will cover that one too, because this is probably one of my favorite mock drafts that I've done, reactions. So, and he, featuring a record number of first round QBs. I think that's going to be the title. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know your favorite pick from this mock draft, your least favorite pick. And thank you guys again so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.